Welcome back, boys and girls. I'm Mr. Albrecht, and this is Skills Unit 2, Lesson 11. Before this lesson, please make sure you have your individual code charts and that blue crayon again, because we're going to be using that one again today. And make sure you have that workbook ready, because we're going to look at worksheet 11.1 to review your new spelling words. So your learning targets today are going to be, I can practice my new spelling words because you're going to get introduced to them, so you need to start practicing them. And you're able to read words with that R-controlled vowel. And we're going to review a couple new spellings for this R-controlled vowel. So each week you're going to get a list of spelling words. And in this week's list, 11.1, we're going to be working with contractions. So we have to review and think about what a contraction is. And we'll also have a tricky word in addition to the contraction words that we're going to review. So let's review each of the spelling words one at a time. And first we're going to read the word without the contraction. Then we're going to make the word into a contraction. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what makes that a contraction and what words make up the contraction. So let's look at this first one. It is. Now, when we have these two words separately, and we want to make them a contraction, remember we're going to use an apostrophe. That's that little comma that's hanging in the air. And when we put an apostrophe in for this, it's going to replace the I in is. So notice we just brought those words together, but we took the I out and put the apostrophe in. That is its. However, if in the context of the sentence, it should read or could read, it has, this contraction can also stand for it has. You have to read around the contraction to figure out if it is its, meaning it is, or if it's its, meaning it has. You have to decide that based off the context around the word. So again, the apostrophe is replacing, in it has, it is actually replacing the H and the A, not just the I in it is. So keep that in mind. Same thing happens with that is. We have the two words, that is, and when we want to make a contraction, we're going to replace the I with an apostrophe, and you're going to get that's. But again, it could be that has, not just that is. You're going to have to look around the contractions to be able to tell if it means that is or that has. But your contraction that you need to learn how to spell is that's. How about she is? We're going to take these two words, we're going to take that I out, and we're going to replace it with an apostrophe, so we have the word she's. Same thing can happen here, boys and girls. It could she is or she has. It could both be replaced with the apostrophe. So you have to be very careful and think about the sentence that you're reading. Is not. Now we got a little bit different one here. When we look at the two words is not, we're going to put an apostrophe in there, and look what happens. We took the O out and put the apostrophe in its place. So this is isn't. And you'll notice the N, the O and the T, the O drops, but the word comes together. So it's kind of an interesting, let me go back a slide to show you. Is separated from not, but what happens is the N stays, the O drops out, and you add the T. That's the word isn't. Same thing here with are not. It goes to aren't. We're going to drop that O, move the N next to R, and you have aren't. What about was not? Same thing happens here. Was not. Goes to wasn't. The O dropped off. The not came together with was. So we have wasn't. I will. Now watch what happens here. Think about what drops out. I'm going to show you the contraction. What dropped out? If you said the W and the I, you were right. This was I will. This is I'll. A lot of times we can replace I will go to the movies with I'll go to the movies. How about you will? What do you think is going to drop here? It's going to be replaced both an apostrophe is the W-I again. Gone. Apostrophe goes in its place. You'll. She will. Same thing. W-I disappear, apostrophe comes in and replaces it. She'll. Careful. If it doesn't have the apostrophe there, think about what word you would have. Shall. So there's a difference between she'll and shall. And our tricky word is there. We heard about this in the past lesson when we had the TH sound we hear. Remember the EI here makes a sound, and then we hear the R as in the R at the end. So we got to remember, this is one of those ones we just got to put here. So this, boys and girls, remember, is one of the spellings for there. That's a tricky word in itself because there's so many different spellings, but there's different meanings behind them. So keep this in mind. If I said their book is on the floor, that book belonged to them, okay? Their book is there. That last there I just said is T-H-E-R-E. Different spelling, right, than this one? So keep this one in mind and you think about how it's used in a sentence. All right, so let's take a look at that family letter, 11.1, in your workbooks and find it because I want to show you, if you're looking at this list, you're going to look under the bolded words. It says spelling word, okay? Right where that's at. That's all you're going to be required to know. You probably know how to spell most of these words, but it's how do we put the apostrophe together and what letters do we drop out? That's what you're going to have to practice real closely this week. And don't forget about that tricky word there at the bottom because that's the one you're going to have in your test as well. All right, so let's learn about another R-controlled vowel today. This R-controlled vowel that we're going to look at looks like a word, doesn't it? It looks like or. I'm going to do this or that. By itself, again, this letter R is a spelling for that consonant sound, but the sound R can mingle with certain vowel sounds, creating unique vowel sounds like this OR, like the ER we had in the past, and like another one you're going to hear in just a few minutes. All right, boys and girls, grab that individual code chart and the blue crayon, because we're going to find page 10 in that individual code chart. Remember, we've already in past lesson highlighted our sound for ER, but now we're looking at OR. So we're going to come down the line, we're going to look for OR as in or. This is another controlled vowel, R-controlled vowels. That's why we're putting it in blue. So we're going to take our blue crayon. Make sure Mr. Albrecht has his blue crayon ready. And we're going to highlight right around the edge of that so that we mark that one as learned. Now look at that giant power bar there. That means that we're going to see this OR sound made the most with that OR, that vowel and that consonant together. That's what we're going to see the most out of all the other choices that you're going to study. All right, so once you've got that done, you're ready to move on. All right, so let's look at some words that have this OR spelling in them. How about this word, sport, right? You might like to play a sport. Born. You celebrate the day you were born on your birthday. Born. Sort. I might have to sort my clothes when I'm putting them away. Fort. How many out there like to build a fort? Corn. Like corn on the cob. You might like to eat that as a vegetable. Thorn. Careful. You might prick your finger on a thorn. Boring, right? Hopefully you're not saying this lesson is boring. Order. I'm going to place my order online and hopefully something's going to come to me good. Pork. That's a meat. That's the meat that comes from pigs that we like to eat. Pork. Fork. We use our fork to eat our pork. Torch. We might light a torch, or if you're studying the Olympics and you're listening and learning, remember those, then you might remember they light a torch to celebrate. Porch. You might like to sit out on the front porch. And let's stop there for a moment because we just went over a lot of OR cards. And let's get some wiggles out, okay? So stand up and I want you to scratch your arm. So what are we practicing here? Think about that. Scratch your arm. I hear another R-controlled vowel that's going to come up, so get ready for that one. Arm. This is my arm. I'm going to scratch my arm, okay? And just to kind of move a little bit. That's all we're doing. Just pretend to scratch your arms. If you don't want to scratch it, just pretend to do it. All right, let's try another one. Bark like a dog. Woof, woof, right? Maybe you make a different sound. Maybe your dog is a big dog, woof, or a little dog. Woof. You pick the dog bark you want to put. How about start clapping? Start clapping. And see how fast you can get the clapping, right? So it gets a little bit of movement there as well. Start clapping. And how about stop clapping? Gotta remember to tell you that. You might keep clapping. March in place. We have that AR, march, march. And I think that might be our last one. It is, boys and girls. So have a seat and let's look at this AR that you just practiced in all your wiggle cards. This AR sound is another R-controlled vowel, and it makes this unique sound of R. Even though the letter R sounds like this sound, we've got to be careful that when it's in a word that we put the A with it to have that R control that vowel. So let's find our individual code charts, because we're going to mark this one and then we're going to practice it, okay? So let's look on our individual code chart, page 10, and we've done the OR in today's lesson. We've practiced our ER in past lesson, but now we're going to get to mark this R. What do you notice about the AR? There's only one card, isn't there? Car. And so that means that my power bar is going to go all the way across that card. Okay, so don't forget to highlight around the edge, that dotted line. And we have covered card. That's the only letter combination, the only sound card that we have for this sound, AR, as an R. Let's practice some words that have the R sound in it. This word we just saw on our wiggle card, right? Bark like a dog. Bark. Dark. When the lights go out, it's dark. Yard. Go out and play in the yard. Yard. Card. I need one more card for my hand. I'm playing cards, I need one more card. Arm, remember? I had scratch your arm. Hard. This table is hard. Something is not soft, it is hard. Car. Mom and Dad tells you go get in the car. We're about to leave. Star. Look up and wish upon a star. Jar. Can you open this jar for me? Jar. Mark. Put a mark next to the word that is correct. Mark. Ark. Large boat, right? A large ship. Ark. Farm. We're going to go out to the farm and pick some vegetables or strawberries. Arch. Notice the sound on that one. It's not arc like it was on the one with the K, but now we have arch. An arch is like a giant arch. Charm. That can be something can charm you, or it could be for girls. You might have a little charm on your necklace or your bracelet. How about march? We did that in our wiggle cards. We marched. All right, boys and girls, I want you to grab your readers, but it's in your workbook as well. If you look in your workbooks on 11.2, you're going to see a copy of the story that's in your reader called How the Hedgehog Tricked the Hare. And I want you to read this again with somebody in your family. And after you've read the story, I want you to record the title, the characters, the setting, and the plot on that worksheet 11.2, okay? 11.3 will help you to write a book report that we're going to work on in future lessons, okay? So find 11.3 as well. You'll see 11.2, and then right behind that is 11.3, and that is very important that you bring that to the next class, okay? 11.3. Have that ready, filled out, and ready to go before the next class. And 11.3 looks like this. So you're going to see characters, setting, beginning, middle, and end. You might have already seen this in one of your classes already, but here it is again in 11.3, and you're going to just map out the how the hedgehog tricked the hare. So when we get that done, put that to the side and bring it with you to the next lesson, okay? Because we're going to be using that. All right, so boys and girls, can you practice those new spelling words? I hope you can. And also be able to read words with R-controlled vowels. Just remember, we've covered the ER, the OR, and the AR, making this R-controlled vowels. So keep those in mind as you read back over how the hare tricked the hedgehog and see if you can spot these spellings in those words. This has been Unit 2, Lesson 11. Have a great day, boys and girls. Bye-bye.